Hello, I'm Tara Brabazon. I'm the Dean of Graduate Research at Flinders University, and welcome to this staff development program that we're referring to as the STEPS program. And this staff development program is focusing today on a very exciting area, a very big and important area for the future at Flinders, I think, and that is the Higher Doctorate. The Higher Doctorate is part of the postgraduate suite that we offer at Flinders University and indeed around the world. But the Higher Doctorate is indeed, the key is in the adjective, higher than the Doctor of Philosophy and higher than the Masters by Research. This degree is based on published work before the enrolment, full stop. But it is more than that. It is a degree that is awarded for the research that occurs after the PhD that is of significance. Now, the word significant is important. It's also incredibly ambiguous to apply, so more of that in a second. So the published work that we are discussing must be significant, and that significance must be proven rather than assumed. The person must have worldwide authority and must be recognised as some sort of expert in a specific field. So significance is difficult to evaluate. It's like impact. Significance and impact are incredibly important, but they're very, very difficult to prove. And all sorts of proxies can and indeed should be put in place. So it could be about citation, it could be about impact however it is defined, including the impact of journals as a proxy for quality. It could be about policy influence, the cultural transformations that have been instigated through the candidate's research, or also the new fields that have been created, like interdisciplinarity and the impact of that in the short to medium term. But as I said, the key with this doctorate, this Higher Doctorate, is that the case for significance, for impact, for importance, must be made rather than simply assumed. And to cite our regulations, we demand that the student demonstrate the work is of, and I'll quote it, internationally recognised, significant, and a sustained original contribution, all three. And it can be in a designated field of research or indeed an interdisciplinary field. Both are recognised. The achievement, therefore, must be substantially higher and of a greater scope and scale than the Doctor of Philosophy itself. So what's actually involved in someone enrolling in a Higher Doctorate? Well, it's very, very interesting, and the components are very distinctive from any other degree that we might administer or manage or supervise or examine. So the supervision of a Higher Doctorate involves 6 months of enrolment. 6 months of enrolment, and only one supervisor is required rather than a panel. All the published work must have been already completed. So it's all done and dusted before the enrolment commences. Right. So what's required in what is submitted are 2 components, the 2 parts, if you will, to the Higher Doctorate. The first is the selection of publications. This is referred to as the body of work. So a candidate may have a large career, 100, 200 refereed articles, 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 books, but a selection of those is implemented to create a body of work to make the case. And obviously it must be the body of work that best demonstrates the case, and what that best actually looks like we'll get to in a second. And so that's the first bit, the body of work. But something else is required, and that something else is the writing of a contextual statement. So this is the hard bit, I would argue. The contextual statement tells the story of the research. It also provides, obviously, the context. A contextual statement. Thanks for playing. So what does it actually mean? Well, it could be the personal context, certainly, but most importantly, it's really the disciplinary context. It might be the wider societal context as well, but how this work has had a relationship with its disciplinary context, and also how the work has travelled since its publication. And that case can be made obviously through citations, through policy transformations and challenges, through impact, through importance, and also through international resonance. And again, there are proxies for that. One of those may be, say, keynotes based on that work. So the contextual statement is really crucial. It is the framework within which the body of work is read and assessed and examined. It must make the case rather than assume the case. So significance and importance must be proven. That's the challenging bit of the higher doctorate. So the body of work that is presented will be different from every other type of work, how every other doctorate is actually presented. So for many, it would be composed of entire books. So that is, entire scholarly monographs would be assessed as part of the body of work, alongside refereed articles. Obviously also, of course, creative artefacts are part of this story, and all sorts of born digital objects and analogue objects could also be part of the submission. The key, therefore, for those of us who supervise higher doctorates is that we must assist the candidate in telling the story of the research, clustering the body of work and then telling the story of the research. What we've got to do, and this is the hard bit, bind the objects together to make a case for significance. So the contextual statement must shape the research so that the examiners can assess and evaluate the case that is being made. The priority for both the student and the supervisor is to ensure that the documents are well presented and well executed. Perhaps more than any other doctoral qualification, the how the material is presented and clustered together is almost as important as the why the work is significant. It's got to be presented well. The story has to be presented carefully. Now, most of these theses will have some component of analogue elements within them. So, these days, most doctorates are assessed digitally, except the higher doctorate. Often there's this fascinating combination of digital and analogue materials, which make them really interesting, can I say, to examine as well. And this is a rigorous examination process. 3 examiners are in place. All must be of international standing, all must be professors, and at least 2 must currently work outside of Australia. So these are special doctorates, really special doctorates. They're special to do, they're special to supervise, and they're really special to examine. And the attention to detail in these cases is really important. The qualification takes the PhD as its starting point and then ensures that a case is made for significance in the post-PhD career. It's that significance that makes the higher doctorate higher, and I think will show that this area will be booming and growing in the next few years. So it'll be great to supervise, and I hope this very short presentation has helped you have a sense of what a higher doctorate is, what it looks like, and how we supervise it.